Hi, Honors Brit students. I want to talk to you today about what we'll be doing this coming week. We're going to read a short story called The Rocking Horse Winner by D.H. Lawrence. I want to tell you a little bit about the author. He was born in 1885 and died in 1930. The kind of cool little fact, my dad's parents, my grandparents on my dad's side, were both born in the late 1800s, which still blows my mind when I think about it. Anyway, so they were contemporaries of the author of this, D.H. Lawrence. His father was a coal miner and his mom worked with lace. She was worked in like a lace making factory. Because when he was young, he got a really bad case of pneumonia. He didn't have to work in the coal mines, so that worked to his advantage. And he was able to get a scholarship to go to school for a short amount of time before they ran out of money. Then he became a clerk, but he got sick again, so he lost that job. Then he met a young lady who was the daughter of a farmer, and she encouraged him to try teaching, so he became a teacher for a short amount of time. Then he gave that up, ended his relationship with the young lady, and I'm trying to remember what her name was. I want to say it was Annie, no, Jessie. And his mother passed away, but he also published a book, and he decided that he wanted to be an author and have that be his profession for the rest of his life. During this time, he also met a young lady named Frida, and she has a German last name, and I have to look that up, von Richthofen, and they eloped and then traveled for a couple years all throughout Europe. And when they came back to England at the start of World War I, because she was German and he was outspoken in his criticism of World War I, they were viewed very poorly. Wherever they went, people thought they were spies or traitors. So they were kind of on the lam during the whole of World War I, traipsing around England trying to stay out of trouble. When the war ended, they moved to Italy. They were disgusted with England, moved to Italy and to a warmer climate. They eventually ended up in New Mexico for a while. He discovered that he had tuberculosis, and they moved back to Italy. And then Frida took him to France to try some new medical technology to see if they could get him better. Unfortunately, he died at the age of 45. While he was in France is when he wrote this book, this short story, The Rocking Horse Winner. So when we read this story, a lot of D.H. Lawrence's books were very controversial. In fact, many of them were banned. He had a lot to say about culture and society of its time. So when you're reading, think about that. What is he saying about the society at that time, and really about society in general, and how we view money and what we value? We're going to look at two specific literary elements. We're going to look at foreshadowing. What are some things in this story that when we read, we kind of get an idea of what's coming, or we have some clues or some hints, or where's some areas where some suspense builds, and we can kind of look ahead and in our minds and think what might possibly that be telling us about what's going to happen later on in the story. We're also going to talk a lot, or look for, or analyze inference in our story. So inference is when we make educated guesses about what the author's trying to tell us. So oftentimes an author is not going to directly state what they want us to know about the character. It's kind of, we've talked about direct and indirect characterization, where I could tell you that Jimmy is a slob, and that would be a direct characterization. I'm telling you exactly what he's like. Or I could indirectly characterize him, and I could say, oh my gosh, have you ever been in Jimmy's room? There is stuff all over the floor. It's an absolute pigsty. You would get the idea that he is a slob from indirect characterization. I'm not actually telling you he is. I'm describing his room, and that gives you the idea that he is. So inference works along the same lines, where the author is not directly telling us what he wants us to know. He wants us to infer it. So while we're reading the story, I want you to examine details about the characters, and then infer what you believe they believe, what they feel, what they're thinking, and what their motivation is. Excuse me, I'm outside, hair blowing in my mouth. Then we're also going to, so you have a couple of different things we're going to do. I'm sharing a Google Slides presentation with you that has some background information about the author, some background information about horse racing, because that's part of this story as well. There'll be some questions for you to answer, comprehensive questions. I think there's 5 or 6 in the Google Slides presentation. Then continue in that slide presentation. There is a TED Talk on Can Money Buy You Happiness? It's actually really good. He's kind of funny, so I think you'll enjoy it. There are a couple questions to go along with that TED Talk. Then there's some compare and contrast of the TED Talk and the short story that I'd like you to do as well. There is also a Google Forms. It is not a quiz, but a figurative language in the story. A little, I'll say worksheet for lack of a better term, because it's not a quiz, but it looks like one. It will not give you a score because I didn't put scores in it, because every time I do that, something goes wonky. And then you also have a Google document that I'm going to share with you that's called the Rocking Horse Winner Final Assessment. There are 24 questions, I think, on that. That is your kind of final grade for this week on the Rocking Horse Winner. And you can use your notes, you can use your Google slide presentation thing that I've shared with you to help you answer those questions. Please create your own document. Again, Honors Brit Lit HBL, Rocking Horse Winner, and your name as your title. Make sure your name is on your document as well. Make sure all your answers are in complete sentences. If you see the little squiggly red or blue line underneath the word, could you click on it and fix the spelling? Oh my goodness. So your juniors and seniors, do a good job. Do complete sentences, check your spelling, and think about it. If you have any questions as you're going, please, please, please call me or text me. I guess you don't have my phone number, but email me. We'll try and do it by email. And if you still need to talk, we can get on the phone and talk through some stuff if you have any questions about the short story. I'd also like to set up a Zoom classroom time for us, just to kind of touch base and catch up on things. You can ask some questions. So I might try and do that on Thursday. If I can get that all set up, I will be emailing you. Please check your email every day just to make sure that you know what's going on. And I miss you guys tons. I hope you're all doing well, staying safe, isolating from others, appropriate boundaries, 6 feet, all that stuff. And praying for each one of you, just that God uses this time to grow you in your faith. And miss you guys. Bye.